Hello there, and a very warm welcome to the program. I am Victor Matthias. Child sexual abuse is undoubtedly one of the most common social ill plaguing the country today. Almost on a daily basis, reports of one form of abuse or the other is on the news. Sadly too, these children are usually molested by people that are close to them. Available reports have it that about 80% of reported cases of sexual abuses are perpetrated by family members or people close to the victim, including parents, uncles, family friends, and other adults in the neighborhood. To stem the increasing tide, the Child Rights Act was passed into law in 2003 by President Olusegun Obasanjo. Now the question remains, how has this act fared since its promulgation, and to what extent has it reduced the cases of child sexual abuse and other child-related abuses? My guest today on the program is a sexuality education strategist, Praise Fowowe. But just before we meet up with him, let's take a look at the other trending topics on the social media for the past week. Mr. Fowowe, thanks for coming to the program.
It's my pleasure being here.
All right. Sexual child abuse, pornography, child pornography to be precise. I mean, it's been a recurring decimal in the country in recent times. How did we get to this? And what are the legal implications under the Child Rights Act?
Well, you will know that the Child Rights Act has been passed into law in a lot of states, and one of the rights of a child is the right to protection. Okay, which means the child must not be sexually exploited under whatever form, whatever guise, but it looks to me like a lot of us don't even understand what pornography is. Because when you talk about pornography, child pornography, someone is beginning to think about, okay, some sexually explicit movies and pictures and what have you. But unknown to many people, there are two forms of sexual abuse. There's abuse by orientation, abuse by interaction. Interaction is when the child is touched. Orientation is when the child is made to see a picture, or it could even be songs. So you ask yourself, for example, a child is celebrating his birthday. What kind of music do we play? We play adult stuff with adult content, with lewd lyrical content. Now that in itself is pornography, but we don't pay attention to that. So a child first dances to the rhythm, then he begins to internalize the lyrics. So he grows and the lyrics begin to trouble him, and that in itself is pornography. But we don't, pay attention to that because, it seems that most of the songs, they're coded and what have you. And that's how we've gotten to where we've gotten, because the music industry and the movie industry are the two most powerful, set of industry when it comes to creating of culture, and where those, you have that industry dominated by sexually explicit songs and movies and what have you, then gradually we will have a pornographic world.
So I mean, now coming back to the issue of entertainment,
Yeah.
What is the role of the NBC? That's Nigerian Broadcasting Commission.
It's for me, I mean, it's sad really when I think about NBC, because I'm asking myself, it looks to me like there's nobody there doing anything. The role of NBC is to regulate content, but it looks to me like they don't even understand content.
But a couple of radio programs, TV programs have been subdued. Some songs have been banned.
You see, we pay attention to the minor and we take our eyes off the major issue. For example, I mean, if you create any program on air today and you call it, let's talk about sex or something, even if it's educational, NBC will come at you. But if you,
really?
Yeah, I'm telling you, personal experience is not even something that happened to someone, that I once had a radio show on air that NBC was fighting me to say, take it off. And because it's called Let's Talk About Sex, but NBC, the same NBC will look the other way when someone releases a song, because maybe because of the slangs being used, they say, okay, this is not sex. I mean, I remember when they were fighting me, they told me that, okay, that on my show I mentioned penis. The penis I should have mentioned, classify penis as what did they call it? Genital. I should have mentioned genital.
Yes, but because I think you're exposing the child to...
No, because when you're teaching, and that's the problem. You see, when you're empowering a child against the rapist or the predator, one of the things you need to teach in age-appropriate sexuality education is teaching the child to pronounce the proper names for the private parts. So that when the child wants to report, take for instance, a mother was telling me when I was running a session that when she was 5, the uncle began to molest her, raped her actually. But she couldn't pronounce penis, so she went to her mother to say, "Mommy, uncle is inserting his nail in my bum bum," and her mother laughed about it. And she said for 7 straight years, her uncle raped and molested her. Now, if she had mentioned the proper name, I'm sure her mother's response would have been different. Of course, that was a careless mother. But you see, that's what happens. Even in the law, when a child wants to report, you wouldn't be calling, penal, you wouldn't be calling it what we call it, kokora and all those kind of things, So, people don't understand the thing when it comes to empowering each other, because that's the only thing we can do, really. You cannot stop the pornography industry from putting up, it can be controlled. If NBC is on their toes, a lot of things can be done, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to empower your child, to be able to differentiate, or identify a pedophile, a predator, and what have you.
All right, the police, have been accused that they don't investigate all these videos, all these child pornography videos that come on the internet, social media, and all that. Emails, they're everywhere. The police are not doing anything. What is their role? How
will the police investigate? How many policemen are on Twitter? How many policemen are on Facebook? How many policemen are even computer literate? That's where you start from. Is it the one that stands on the road? How does that investigate? The one that...
But I think a few of them are.
Yeah, but you see, this guy, a lot of these guys are not trained, really. And then you ask yourself, do we have the legal backing to do these things? Do we have the expertise? China shut the entire world, away from their people. There are some Arab countries that have done the same. What are we doing? So that's why I always tell people, you see, that child pornography is really in Nigeria is because we permitted it. The other day, 2011, there was a video that went viral in this country of an 11-year-old girl in Warri, having sexual intercourse with a 4-year-old. It went viral across the country. Nothing was done. And that was, the moment I saw it, I said, that's the day the child pornography came into Nigeria mainstream. And because we didn't do anything about it, more of that had come. And recently, we've had more of child rape, And the shocking thing right now is not even that adults molest children. The shocking thing is that more children actually rape more children right now. And that's shocking.
We just had an incident in Ikorodu.
Yeah. Of the 14-year-old that raped. Yes. That's the pattern right now. In the last I've been to 8 states in Nigeria in the last 9 months. I have met, counseled, and spoke to more to 6-year-olds who are sexually active, molesting their mates than even adults. And that's the reality on ground. So gradually, Nigeria is raising a sexualized world, and we are keeping quiet about it as if we don't know.
Just in wrapping up now, all these children,
be
it the low, the high income status, they need protection.
Yeah.
How do we get them protected?
Community policing. The community. When we were growing up in Nigeria, and that's a sad thing for me to think that I grew up in the same Nigeria where other people's parents were empowered to punish you. Other people's parents, we were community children. The community will police you. If you tried misbehaving, they'll correct you. But here and in time, we've degenerated into a station where all of us live in a high rises, we live in a flat and nobody can correct our children. We need to empower the community to understand what child molestation, child rape is all about. Then we need to empower every child, because the strength of the predator and the rapist is the ignorance of the child, knowing fully well that nobody will teach the child anything. But then we all need to come to terms with the fact that every child is our child. Every child is a community child. What that means is that if you notice a funny behavior between a child and an adult that is not a parent, you have a right to challenge the adult. Where are you taking this child to? A child goes on the street and is sitting where they're watching some movies. You have a right to tell the movie owners, excuse me, close, this is not right. But we keep quiet because we feel, it's not my child, not knowing that no child is fully safe until every child becomes safe. So the society have a role to play. We all need to get back to community policing and say, okay, we don't want pornography, so let's all become responsible.
Mr. Praise Fowowe, thanks for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts with us.
My pleasure.